I think that Brother Barack Obama, Sister Michelle, the two precious children in the White House, has an incalculable and immeasurable symbolic impact on the psyche of black people. And we need to feel as if we're making some movement. We have to feel as if there's significant motion taking place, even if it's at a symbolic level. So in that regard, I really don't think we even have a criteria to measure. I think of the impact it will have on me, of them being in that White House symbolically. So, and that's very important, because the psyche and the spirit of black folk is crucial if we're talking about taking the struggle to another level. Now, there's a difference between the symbolic and the substantial. When it comes to substance, we're going to have to put tremendous pressure on Brother Barack Obama, because he's got centrist advisors. He's got advisors who don't fully understand the depth of the suffering in the black community. We got to put pressure on him to ensure that he moves in a progressive direction. But at this symbolic level, the sheer victory in and of itself is just going to be a beautiful thing. Yeah, I think primarily what I meant was by not mentioning Brother Martin Luther King's name, and the condition of namelessness being one of the fundamental challenges of black folk ever since the first African got off slave ship, entered the New World, entered the Americas, that it was a sign, I think, of Brother Barack speaking to a white moderate mainstream and speaking to white independence, and not wanting to in any way appear as if he was excessively associating himself with black people or with Martin or with any major black figure. We know that Brother Barack Obama has great love and respect for Martin Luther King Jr. I understood it as a strategic move. Now, I disagreed with that strategic move, because when it comes to that kind of international stage, just mentioning the name, not just a young preacher from Georgia, but a young black preacher named Martin Luther King Jr., I probably would have mentioned his mama's name, his daddy's name, but that was probably a bit too much, because I'm not running for president. But just that name in and of itself, I thought was necessary in light of the deep suffering and struggle and sacrifice that so many people have actually undergone in order for us to break that white supremacist ceiling at the top in terms of gaining access to the White House. So again, I just had a strategic disagreement. I've had a number of strategic disagreements with Brother Barack, and we've had some deep disagreements over policy. We had deep disagreements over some of his advisors, Robert Rubens and others. But, you know, I love the brother, support the brother. I promised him I would do a full court press. I was there in Iowa, South Carolina, Texas, there on Super Tuesday. Last week, 11 events in Columbus, 11 events today in Cleveland. Full court press to the very end. I want to see the brother hit the tape in the marathon. When he hits the tape, break dance for a day, put strong pressure on him the next day, because it's fundamentally about the suffering of everyday people, especially in Chocolate City.
You know, a lot of folks, you know, say we need to just not, people shouldn't worry about what he's doing now to get white support, that once he's in, you know, it'll be different. I tend to disagree with that, yeah. And I'm curious to see what's your opinion on that.
Oh, there's no doubt in my mind that process influences product, that the means influence the ends. So if you get in the habit of becoming well adjusted to white mainstream fears and anxieties, then you can easily end up governing like that, or arguing, I won't be reelected if I don't do the same thing. And it goes on and on and on. And so on the one hand, I have to learn from Brother Barack and the others, because I am not a campaign manager. On the other hand, I got to be true to myself. I got to speak the truth that I feel in my own soul. And he knows when I speak that truth and it's critical, I speak it out of love for him and the people that he's concerned with and the people that I'm concerned with. But that disagreement has to be aired. It has to be honest. It has to be open. And I mean, you've done the same thing with tremendous insight and integrity too, my brother.
Let me ask you, you've talked about history and you talked about racism. The history that we've seen on the campaign trail, not only recently, but even going back to the primary, but more recently, it's been compared, there was a comparison to George Wallace. Do you think that that comparison is overstated?
Mr. Brother John Lewis?
Yes, sir.
No, I think Brother John Lewis had a point. What he was saying that is sowing the seeds of hatred and division. There's no doubt that we've heard voices from the McCain camp, including the vice presidential candidate, was saying things that sows the seed. That doesn't mean that they are trying to design a conspiracy in a racist way and so forth and so on. But when you sow those seeds, they take on a life of their own. And that is, I think, a concern that Brother John Lewis had. And it's a real one. It's a real one, yeah.
Next, this is the last question I want to ask you. We know the saying, white America catches a cold, black America catches the flu. Looking at the history of blacks and how they fared during the Depression years, what should we expect under this current economic downturn?
Well, if we don't get some serious progressive policy in terms of robust public spending with jobs, infrastructure, education, healthcare, we are going in a dark tunnel. Because now the whole country has caught mononucleosis. And if the whole country catch mononucleosis, cancer's hunting black folk down. So that's how serious it really is. And that's one of the reasons why both we got to make sure that Brother Barack Obama wins, and secondly we got to put pressure on him. He's actually moved in some good directions in terms of public spending. He's got to listen to Bob Cutler, he's got to listen to Joseph Stiglitz, he's got to listen to William Greider, he's got to listen to William Julius Wilson, he's got to listen to those folk who put a stress on robust, direct, I ain't talking about no tax credits. The IRS is not a social agency. I'm talking about direct subsidy in the public spending. That's what we need. And he's got a component of that now he didn't before. That's a good sign.
It seems like he's been adding a lot of components that he didn't have before as we're getting closer to the game.
That's exactly right, and that's a good sign.
Yeah, just let me ask you, in terms of the economy, these cuts that the cuts that we're seeing in state and city budgets, we already have poor services in poor communities, black and brown and white poor communities. What do you think those services are going to look like?
Oh no, it's going to be significantly cut. We're going to have to have our churches, our mosques, our synagogues, our fraternities, our sororities, our lodges. They're going to have to step forward.